Hi everyone and welcome back. This is your first of many instructional videos which are meant to give you a preview or something to look back at to remind you of the skills that we're going to be using in this class. So the first skill is section 0A.2 and that's solving systems by graphing. So I'm going to go through number 1 and number 3 on page 3 of your packet in this video. Follow along, take notes, and this is going to set you up for success in this topic. So what we're doing in solving by graphing is we're given two equations. So I have y equals negative 5/3 x plus 3, and I have y equals 1/3 x minus 3. Now you notice I just color coded those with two different colors so that you could see my lines clearly and be able to differentiate between each one. So I'm going to graph the first one, y equals negative 5/3 x plus 3. Now there are two parts of the equation. This is in the form of y equals mx plus b. So the two parts are m, which is your slope, and b, which is your y-intercept. So I always start at the y-intercept. So I'm going to start at positive 3 and plot my first point. Negative 5/3 is my slope, and since that's negative, I know that my line is going to be going down. So I can either do this as negative 5/3 or 5/3. The reason being, if I made both of them negative, that would create a positive value. So I'm going to start by using negative 5/3, and I'll show you also what it looks like when I use 5/3. So the top number tells me to go up or down. So from this starting point, I'm going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The bottom number tells me left or right. So since it's positive, I'm going to go to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to plot my next point. I can do that again to make a more accurate line. I usually try and get at least 3, sometimes 4 or 5 points on my line before I draw it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. There's my next point. Now, if I were to use the alternate, which is 5/3, I would count up 5 since it's positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and left 3 since it's negative. 1, 2, 3, and plot that point right there. Once I have all my points, draw yourself a straight line. Hopefully you have a straight edge. If not, use the edge of a piece of paper, a notebook, anything like that. So that is my first line. It doesn't tell me anything about the solution yet, except for the fact that any point on this line has the opportunity to be the solution. What I'm looking for is where this second line intersects this line. So my next line is 1/3 x minus 3. So I start with my y-intercept, which is negative 3, 1, 2, 3, and I use my slope 1/3. Now those are both positive. I can either use 1/3, or I could make them both negative, since a negative over a negative is a positive value. So I'm going to use 1/3, 1, up 1, and then to the right 3, 1, 2, 3, and I have a point. I notice that that's already intercepting that line. So I can go continue from there, 1, 1, 2, 3, another point. And if I use negative 1/3, I would go down 1, left 1, 2, 3. Down 1, left 1, 2, 3. Now you can see my line shapes up very nicely, and you can see the solution there. So the solution is where the two lines intersect. So this point right here is my solution, and it's at 1, 2, 3, down 2. So that's 3, negative 2. And that's my solution. All right, next one. 4x plus 2y equals 8. Notice the different form here. A lot of you are more comfortable with y equals mx plus b than you are with this, which is called standard form. So there are two different ways to go about graphing this one. You can either graph it in standard form and find the two intercepts, or you can change it into y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to change it into y equals mx plus b, but I'd also be more than happy to graph in standard form with some of you if you want to know how to do that later on. So if I change it into y equals mx plus b, the first thing I need to do is subtract 4x from both sides. When I do that, the 4x moves to the other side. So now I have 2y equals negative 4x plus 8. Notice I put the negative 4x in front of the positive 8 because I want it to look like y equals mx plus b. So the only thing I need to get rid of here is this 2. So I'm going to divide by 2 to get rid of it. So now I've got y equals negative 4 over 2 is negative 2. And then 8 over 2 is 4. So here is my new equation. Now this is in y equals mx plus b because I've isolated the y. I have the x value first and then the constant next. So to graph this line, I'm going to start at 4. When you have a whole number coefficient, you're just going to put it over 1. So negative 2 over 1 means I'm going down 2 and to the right 1. Down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, and so on. If I used it the other way around, so if I had made that positive 2 over negative 1, remember that's the same thing as negative 2 over positive 1, I would go up 2, left 1. To make sure that you're graphing that correctly and you do in fact have a negative slope, when you trace through and you go left to right, your pencil should be going down. So when I trace that left to right, notice my pencil went down. So my other equation also has a negative 2 slope, but it has a negative 3 y-intercept. So I start at negative 3, 1, 2, 3. And my negative 2 slope, I put that over 1. So I go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Or I could also go up 2, left 1, which would be positive 2 over negative 1. Now you're going to notice that these two lines are never crossing. Now there is a specific word for that, or there's actually a few words. So what you're probably thinking is those are parallel lines, and you're absolutely correct. Parallel lines have the same slope. Those both had a negative 2 slope. Parallel lines have same slope, different y-intercepts. Now, when you're looking for a solution and they don't intersect, there is no solution. So there is no point which satisfies both equations. They never intersect. So the solution, there is no solution. So I might write no solution. Some of you might be used to writing this, which is kind of like an empty set. I generally write no solution. I know a lot of people are usually comfortable with that. Some people write both. So those are your first two examples. Make sure you get this down in your notes, and I would encourage you to look ahead at numbers 2 and 4 below, just so you can start to get a handle on it and be prepared for class.